Good morning, everyone. This is Matthias Chang from Future Fast Forward once again. Over the long weekend, I met several people who have asked me what they can do to ensure that we will succeed in toppling the criminal regime. And a lot of people say they have difficulty in helping to spread the news about MDB, the various crimes committed by the Cabal. And they said they find it difficult to collate or to gather contents for which they can use either through small discussion or to their own way of spreading the news by printing small leaflets. So what I told them, to those friends of mine who met me, is that I have already posted 33 video speeches, and those video speeches covers a lot of content. What they can do, and what all of you who wants to volunteer to help our campaign to topple the Cabal and the criminal regime, is to extract those content from the videos. You can stop, copy, write down whatever documents you can see that's exhibited in my video speeches, and then use it in your effort to spread the word. But today, in order to assist that effort, I've summarized the key points for all of you, and I hope that when you watch this videotape, this video speech, you will at each stage pause, write down those content, play again, restart the video, watch it, pause it, and copy down, so that you will have all the basic facts and the key slogans or statements to help you in your effort to spread the word about your friends, your families, and your relatives. I think it's very important that we must focus on, first and foremost, the leadership of Najib, okay? And therefore the starting point is to have this image and title: Najib's failed and bankrupt leadership. I'm quite sure you can Google a photo of Najib and have it printed on a piece of paper with that title, Najib's failed and bankrupt leadership. You got it? Because picture and words, when combined together, will be more effective than just mere words or spoken words. Next, I want you to ask all your friends, your relatives, all right? Especially since Najib has boasted recently and celebrated with UMNO members his 40 years in politics, all right? From the time when he became the Member of Parliament at age of 23 in Pekan, Pahang, all the way to today when he became the Prime Minister. So, the next important question is for you to ask everyone: Najib's 40 years of failed leadership. And the question you pose must be, can anyone tell you what are the outstanding achievements of Najib as Menteri Besar of Pahang? I'm sure you may even have forgotten that he was once the Menteri Besar of Pahang. What did he do for his state, his home state? And then he was the Minister for Culture, Youth and Sports. What outstanding achievements did he make in that capacity? Then he was made an Education Minister. What achievements or landmarks that he left behind. That as a defense minister, what achievement has he made? And I put it to you, you can tell very confidently to your friends, relatives or colleagues, his achievements is zero, hollow, zilch. Alright? And it's very important. We judge a person by his performance. Alright? 40 years of performance. And I put to you, is 40 years of odd thunder, no rain, empty promises, and non-performance. Next, I think it's only fair that if someone has boasted that he has developed 40 years of service as a political leader, member of AMNO, minister, he must have legacies. And a lot of leaders are proud to boast about their legacies. So in tandem and in conjunction with the previous questions as what he had achieved in this capacity as Menteri Besar Pahang, Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport, Education Minister and Defence Minister, and now Prime Minister, we will now focus what are his legacies, if any. Okay? And I will submit, you should tell all your friends these are his legacies. Najib's despicable legacies. Number one, more than anything, the 1MDB scandal. Okay? I'll write it down. Okay? Copy from the videotape. This is the largest kleptocracy investigation in US history. Write it down. The largest money laundering scam across 7 countries. Write it down. All this criminal action is a betrayal of national trust, resulting in the humiliation of Malaysia and all of us. Alright? It has brought untold shame to our country. So, when you watch the video, press the pause button, write all these main points, okay? If you can't recall anything he has done previously as a minister, and what you can remember now is this, I put to you, the number one legacy is one of shame because of his criminal conduct as a Prime Minister, Finance Minister, with regard to the 1MDB scandal. Alright? No other leader since independence has brought so much shame and disgust to Malaysia and to our citizens. And I will put to you the second legacy, which he will be famous for, is that he has self-declared himself to be the judge and jury with regard to the crimes in relation to the 1MDB scandal. What did he do? Pause the videotape and write it down. 1. He declared himself innocent of all crimes by sacking the Attorney General, by intimidating Bank Negara officials, by intimidating MACC officials, even had them transferred at one time to the PM's department, and because of the outcry of the public, re-transferred them. And lately, the 3 top positions, key officials, were transferred. By gutting the Parliament Public Accounts Committee, PAC. Remember, 4 members of PAC were made deputy ministers, and the new chairman of PAC covered up critical evidence from Bank Negara with regard to the Jolo account, Gusta account. Okay? By arresting and charging and imprisoning a lawyer, myself that is, and his client for lodging police reports in 5 countries. under Rosmah and Penal Code for sabotaging the banking and financial institutions of Malaysia. Can you imagine? We were charged, okay, for crimes. Yet it was one MDB and M-Bank and the money laundering of Joe Low and his cabal that had sabotaged the integrity and reputation of our banks. One MDB has been fined by Bank Negara, M-Bank has been fined by Bank Negara. Third, legacy, the solid legacy of Najib can be summarized as follows. Failed national policies. It's very important. He is the leader, he is the Prime Minister. And what are his failed policies? I will submit to all of you. Pause the video and write it down. The 1MDB Sovereign Debt Fund that burdened Malaysia with over 53 billion ringgit of debt and interest. There's never a sovereign fund that borrowed money to invest. All sovereign funds are surplus funds to invest and to promote development in the country. But 1MDB is a so-called sovereign fund that is based on debts diverted into the personal coffers and accounts of the Prime Minister. Secondly, this government prostituted Malaysia to global financial interests under the Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP. And guess what? We boast that TPP will bring jobs and development to Malaysia. Yet, if you watch the debates going on in America for the election of the President of America between Donald Trump and even Hillary Clinton, they have condemned TPP. And if Donald Trump gets elected as president, he says he will abolish or revoke TPP. And yet this government glorified TPP as a boon to employment, trade and development. TPP is a scandalous trade treaty that will bring havoc and economic retardation to Malaysia. Spawn a generation of debt slaves, especially among the young, via student loans. They are debt slaves even before they start their life in gainful employment. The other policies is very clear. He preached and boasts that Malaysia will be a high-income nation. Target is, by 2020, US dollars 15,000 per capita annual income. Absolute rubbish. Why? This is a failed policy because wages have remained stagnant for over a decade and will not rise anytime soon, despite this call for a high-income nation. This is impossible because a huge cheap labor force of illegal immigrants is pulling the economy down with low wages. You can't have millions of low-wage labor force and aspire to be a high-income nation. A high labor force of illegal immigrants give rise to cheap labor and depresses salary and wages. And then we have real double-digit inflation versus government manipulated inflation figures. It is an impossibility, sheer fabrication, to say that inflation is 2 to 3%. You yourself know when you go to the market, the inflation is already double digits. Reality trumps manipulated statistics. Home ownership is beyond the majority of wage earners. In the past, in the 70s, in the 80s, a one-income earner can support an entire family and send the children to college and university and can even afford to buy a house. Today, a young couple, both working, can't even afford to pay the deposit down to purchase a house. The fourth legacy I will submit to all of you is the legacy of moral and spiritual decadence left over by this regime led by Najib. Why? Because from his policies, his failed policies, he has established a corrupt and a criminal cabal regime. Not one prosecution against the members of the criminal cabal for money laundering, corruption and fraud with regard to the 1MDB scandal, the largest kleptocracy investigation ever in the world, conspiring with Arab criminal elements in haram financial activities. Already, Najib's accomplices and members of his cabal have been arrested by the Arab governments, Qubaisi and Husseini. And Joe Low is on the run. He's been rumored to be in Thailand, in Taiwan, Hong Kong, whatever, indulging in untrustworthy and untruthful actions. We have seen the last 2 years the blatant lies, and more lies, and exhorting the Rakyat to adopt the mantra, cash is king. Okay? These are the kind of spiritual decadence that's hollowed out the soul and morality of Malaysia. Continuing, by preaching cash is king, Najib is promoting the insidious doctrine that accepting and depositing laundered monies in the billions in one's personal account is morally right and lawful. Already we have seen an example how this pernicious doctrine has impacted on politics. Recently, Jamal Yunus, Ketua Bahagian Sungai Besar, boasts that has given 1,000 ringgit each to 246 delegates to his divisional meeting. And Noor Omar, the head of UMNO for Selangor, says that he will in fact give 2,000 to each of those delegates. And he said these monies were donation. So corruption, the moral decadence has already infected key leaders at the divisional level of UMNO. While hard-working Rakyat pays income tax, Najib and his cabal that have received millions and billions are exempt from paying income tax on the billions and millions deposited in his personal account. But more importantly, as a Muslim and a Muslim leader, let me say to all of you, and this is very important, this is your punchline, that Najib has failed to adhere to the commandment of Allah as embedded in Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 8, to uphold justice, the second sacred duty next to piety. Additionally, has blasphemed Allah by misquoting, distorting, misrepresenting the Quran for political self-preservation. Again, when you come across each of these pages, which I'm showing to you, press the pause button, run it down, and play back again. So that you have all this as your guidelines in your counter-propaganda against the lies of the Najib regime. Now, some of you who are non-Muslims may not have a copy of the Quran with you. So what I do now is to reproduce the actual words of Surah 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 8. This is the actual words, the official English translation from the most renowned Islamic scholar, Muhammad Yusuf Ali, the most authoritative translation of the Quran in English. However, you can always check with your friends the Arabic version. It says, "O ye who believe, stand up firmly for God as witnesses to fair dealing, and let not hatred of others make you swerve to wrong and depart from justice. Be just, that is next to piety, and fear God, for God is well acquainted with all that ye do." And the next verse, verse 9, it states, "To those who believe and do good deeds of righteousness, hath God promised forgiveness and a great reward." Okay? This is the most damning judgment and legacy of Najib. His failure to uphold justice and going against the commandment of Allah in Surah 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 8 and 9. And finally, earlier we said that he has misquoted, distorted, and misrepresented the Quran. For in the past, I have told you, on 21st of August, he misquoted the Quran by analogy that he was like the Pharaoh and Mahathir was Moses, by misquoting the Quran. This is what he says. In giving a warning to Mahathir and to forbid anyone to oppose UMNO. He says, even God instructed the Prophet Moses to advise the Pharaoh properly, not to transgress, and did not instruct Moses to bring down the Pharaoh government. Therefore, he's likening himself to Pharaoh, and no one should topple Pharaoh because God instructed even Moses not to topple Pharaoh. This statement by the Prime Minister is a distortion, misquotation, and an outright misrepresentation of the Quran. Therefore, it's a great sin. What a legacy he leaves for future generation of Muslims, misleading them to believe he should not be toppled because he's a Pharaoh and there's a commandment by Allah that such leaders cannot be toppled. But we know what happened in reality. When the Pharaoh tried to destroy and slaughter and kill Moses and his people, Moses led the people across the seas, and with the aid of God, the sea parted and they went across to safety. And the Pharaoh and his army on chariots chasing Moses and his people were drowned. Therefore, God not only did not tell Moses not to topple Pharaoh, God punished Pharaoh by drowning him and his army. And this is proven in the Quran, Al-Qasas, verse 40. So we seized him and his host, meaning the Pharaoh, and we flung them into the sea. Now behold, what was the end of those who did wrong? This was a punishment, a very severe punishment. And I submit to all of you that the legacy of this regime, this cabal, is one of punishment but Allah, God Almighty. So I hope you will use all these facts, compile them in your own way, and use that as a guide to conduct counter-propaganda against the Najib regime. They are going to use all kinds of lies and propaganda to mislead you, to intimidate you, all right, and to hollow out your soul, your heart, and your mind. And I hope with this basic information, you will have more than enough content and materials to launch a counter-propaganda. As usual, once again, may I remind you, and I have to repeat to you, all of you, this exhortation. Surrender absolutely to the will of God. Have absolute faith that He will protect us, defend us under all circumstances, in the face of all enemies and adversities. Because without that focus, without that faith, you will not have the courage, the vision, and the confidence to move forward and to have victory. Yes, things seems very dark, but do not forget the darkest hour is before the dawn, and light is just round the corner. There is light, let me assure you, all right? And do not for one moment be intimidated by any threats, by anyone. For we are the people, we are a nation, we are the numbers, and we must harness all these numbers of people into one powerful force, a tsunami that will wash away this evil and cleanse Malaysia once and for all. With that, my dear fellow citizens, Saudara and Saudari, I hope that this short address will enable you to have the confidence to go out and volunteer and help spread the word that we must get rid of this evil. With that, I wish you a good day and happy counter-propaganda. Thank you.